Hey, how's it going?
Hey man.
Welcome everybody. Hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day. I'm sure people are eating macaroni salad, burgers, and tuning into this. So my guest today is Ashley Land, creator of Unbreakable Argonauts. And thanks for popping in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for being patient about the technical issue that I was having.
Yeah, no worries. Literally every time I do a stream, no matter what, doesn't make a difference how many times. There's just
Yeah,
something goes awry, but that is life. And I'm a programmer, so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on technology, and it still doesn't make any difference.
yeah. Thanks for having me anyway.
Yeah. So where are you? Where do you live?
So I'm actually from, well, originally I'm from the UK, but I'm from Ireland. At the moment, I'm in the States.
Okay, because I thought so. When you said
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time, I'm like, I'm confused. Is it temporary? Have you moved here? Or?
Yeah, kind of exploring moving here. Been working on it since 2023.
Wow, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
that's great. Um, yeah, so today I figured we would just talk about your campaign, the first campaign, the second, like the whole kit and
Yeah.
caboodle. I've caught you on some live streams. We've never met before, so I'm kind of I just how you got into comics, writing, the whole kit and caboodle, and then we'll go over the Kickstarter page in a bit. So, how did you get into comics, and what made you start the Unbreakable Argonauts?
Yeah. I mean, I was like as I was a kid, I used to get a lot of mostly trade paperbacks from relatives, like Christmas and birthdays and that kind of thing. But didn't really. I'm definitely a bit of a late bloomer to the medium. Like when I was a kid, I'd a lot of the trip. I mean, I'm sure you know how it is. The comics that your like aunt or your grandparents pick out for you isn't necessarily the kind of comic that's actually going to get you in the comics. It took me until sort of mid-teens until I started getting into comics myself.
So,
And
what was popular at that time?
um, I mean, the default for everyone, I think, is like Batman, Spider-Man.
Okay,
Um,
like what era? Just out of curiosity, is it like we talking '90s,
uh,
Bronze Age, or
so the comics I started with, I think, were mostly New 52, which
okay?
was definitely a mistake for me because I didn't really love the New 52. I didn't like the style of it. And then Rebirth rolled around, and I was like, finally some comics from because
Yeah,
I'm definitely a DC guy. Even growing up, I used to watch the. I don't know if you ever saw the 1966 animated Superman series.
I
Uh,
I don't know if I have or not.
it was like a 8-minute episodes, and it was very. It was made in the 60s, but it was definitely a golden age kind of TV show.
I feel like I
And
probably have. I'm
yeah,
I'm old. You can tell by the lot of white here. I've
yeah,
seen a lot.
and so I think growing up, DC was just kind of my default universe, and I was watching a lot of golden age animation at a time when, and the Max Fleischer series as well. At a time when like all my friends were watching, like the MCU movies and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And
Yeah. So
yeah,
I'm sorry. Like
I was
so
just going to say that definitely the golden age has been with me pretty much since I got into the characters.
yeah, that's interesting to me because as someone who got into it late, to go to sort of reach back into the
Yeah,
golden age is a really unique kind of place to be.
yeah, it is. It's and it's definitely the kind of thing where you know that you're writing into a niche. Because a lot of people will just tell you straight up, like, no, this is too. Like I'm a '90s kid. This is way too golden age for me. And see,
Yeah.
but I think it's a really great niche to be in, just because it's you're pretty much writing about like the legacy of comics as much as you're writing the comic itself.
Yeah, I've always found that like there's like this really short, I call it a life cycle, but or I'll call it an influence cycle, and people get stuck in a really short one, like 5 years, 10 years,
Mm.
15 years, and everything kind of gets pulled back into the washing machine, and you just kind of see it over and over again. So I think the what you're doing is I think the right call is just keep going backwards, like all the way to the
Yeah,
pulps, like go as far back as you can to pull something new into the medium.
yeah, I completely agree, and I think the more people learn about these kind of older, obviously these are for me they're new characters, but they're definitely like homages to the Golden Age and the Pulp heroes and that kind of thing. And I do think that the more people learn about it, the more they do start to love and appreciate them.
Yeah. So how were you writing, like once you got into comics, did you immediately start writing, or when did that sort of kick in?
I've pretty much always been interested in writing since I was a kid. Once I got into comic, I spent years thinking that comics, like even just making a comic strip or something, would be like prohibitively expensive. Started reaching out to people who are actually making indie comics and found out that like it's an investment for sure, but it's not like you can only make comics if you're rich, and
Right.
that was a big weight off my mind. And COVID hits, and suddenly got a lot of time and opportunity to save up a little bit of money and started writing out my own scripts. I actually started out practicing because I think you should definitely, if you're getting into comics and you're just writing, you should definitely make practice scripts. Not necessarily the kinds of scripts that you're going to put out yourself, but just something that, maybe with a character that you're pretty familiar with, just to see how you understand the medium and sequentials and that kind of thing. And so, of like all things in COVID, I didn't put out, but I wrote for myself a Commandy Dr. Fate team up comic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, just to like pass the time and see how I liked it. And as COVID started coming to an end, I was like seriously looking into investing into, working with an artist, doing some concept artwork and some like early pages and running a script by them, that kind of thing. And I think 2022 came around and I had enough where I felt pretty confident to try out a crowdfunding campaign, and like a few years later, here I am.
Yeah. It is interesting, like when you said that it's prohibitive, costly, and maybe once upon a time it was, but man, there's so many people out there that are just dying to do comics, like whether it's writing or drawing or lettering. So if you can cobble together like a team, which you have, then it is a totally doable thing.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next question. How have you found artists? Like, do you just kind of go on social media, or you go on Twitter? You put like a sign out, or?
So far the way that I usually do it is I go to Reddit, because there's a subreddit specifically for comic book collaborations where it's like artists finding writers, writers finding artists.
Yeah.
And that what I'll usually do is I'll put out things saying like, this is the kind of comic I want to do. This is the aesthetic and the style that I'm going for. If this is something that you think you can do, just send me in your portfolio. And usually I'll read through or look through about a couple dozen portfolios and make a decision a day or two later.
Yeah, I did work with a writer briefly, and it didn't work for me. But if you can get like a relationship with somebody where like you're putting the words down how that artist needs to, and the artist is creating the pictures like they are in your head, to me that's magic. I wish I could do that. So.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it is a really rewarding experience to go through.
So COVID comes around, you kind of get some funds together, you find some artists. Like where did you, where's the impetus to actually write the comic book, do the Kickstarter? Like what did you have in mind?
I think at that time I was really getting into the kind of comics that I loved and starting to understand them, but also kind of realizing that a lot of the modern Golden Age and sort of pulpy comics they kind of leave the older aspects of the story behind it, and there's a little bit of an obsession with modernizing a lot of it. And like we want to do like the Phantom, but we want to do the Phantom if he was alive today, or we want to do like an old man talk, that kind of thing. And it was originally actually, there was a point where I wanted to write it out as like a novella series, and it was, I think for me, it was finding out that how doable it was to make a comic that just made me want to go straight to a comic book instead, because that's definitely my favorite reading medium. And it's really fun to do.
Actually, I want to put a pin in that for a second. I want to jump over to chat. I feel like I totally ignored everybody. Sorry about that, guys. Dr. Mask, how's it going? Thanks for popping in. Hey, Cigar Gangster, how you doing? Hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day. Bootlegger, what's up? I think Dr. Mask did make fun of me, and I knew it. As soon as I said it, he was like, I found hanging a sign outside my house didn't work well. I meant a digital sign, okay? I meant like on social media, like help wanted, all right? Yeah, so as far as like a novella series versus the comic, is that is something you do? Like you do prose fiction as well, or that
Yep.
was some, yeah.
I'm
And
working
what?
on an adventure novella at the moment, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I love prose too. I've written some short stories. I have a novella. I haven't really released anything though, just because I feel like I can get somebody to sit down and read a 25-page comic. I don't think I can get anybody to read like a 100-page novella. Tell me
Yeah.
what you think. It's like 2 years later, they're like, I didn't really like it or something.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, and that's, I think, part of why I wanted to do comics, because number it sounds a little bit mercenary to say, but I think the bar of what's considered success in comics is a little bit lower in terms of like copies sold. Whereas I think in books, especially if you're going through a publisher, or if you're self-publishing for Amazon, you're losing like potentially 60-70% of whatever you make to the publisher, and
Yeah.
it can make it hard to necessarily be worth it unless you're putting in like a little bit extra time and more patience about when you get published. And yeah,
Yeah, it is a tougher market, I think. But I think if you do it, like I love regular novels. So if somebody said, "Hey, here's my comic, and I have a novella, based on the world or the characters," I'm all in. I read, I don't know how many books at this point based on like video game worlds. Like there was a BioShock series. I'm like, I'll read that. Like if you're going to do, I love that. It's just like extra information.
Yeah.
It's extra material that you can dive in further. So I love the idea of just expanding the universe every way you can.
yeah, I agree. I was lucky enough to grow up on some of the uh, Star Wars sequel novellas as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I completely agree.
Let's pull up the Kickstarter, and yeah, I haven't actually asked about the story. Let's see if I can do this. Nope. Share a window. That window. Come on. That's not right. All right, people in chat, talk amongst yourselves. While I pull this up, just kind of give me the rundown of the Unbreakable Argonauts.
Okay, so I'll start off with what's definitely and undeniably the main inspiration, which is I absolutely fell in love with Darwin Cook's New Frontier.
Okay.
And I think one of the things I loved about it was I think the 50s is like a really underexplored period in American history as far as comics go. Not just because it has like a really distinct style to it, but also there's just so much happening. There's like the atomic age and the space race, and Cold War is just getting into full swing and everything like that. And I wanted to really set up a team of heroes who pretty much all of them have their origins in the Second World War. And so the fun thing about that is when we move on to more anthologies in the future, and including this one, we can go back, 8 years or so and just get into what they were doing during the Second World War. So you can have like a little, like fun war stories as well as the kind of pulp meets superhero kind of angle to it. But the main premise is that in this world there's like a high-ranking Soviet major who's pretty much in charge of just kind of destabilizing America from within, and he does that by coordinating all the American supervillains and taking on the Argonauts, and just I don't want to give away too much for what the twist is going to be in this one, but what I really like to do is to kind of incorporate elements of ancient mythology into the story. And so if you've seen one of the covers for this one, we have a giant steampunk Cyclops thrown into the story.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that immediately hits me is the character design. I love all the character designs. I'm an artist, so it's one of the first things I look at, and you can, I don't know, man, you can sell me just on a character design 90% of the time. And the thing is, I don't design like superhero character design. I don't do that. But man, I appreciate it. And I like your whole, did you like design the characters, or were you working with an artist for a lot of these, or?
So like some of them were pretty like self-explanatory. Like one of the characters is just a humanoid gorilla. And so a pretty easy thing to communicate to an artist. And another one that's just like the thing I had in mind was a ghost of a superhero, and so he's basically decked out in like the superhero costume, like the classic kind of strongman superhero costume with like the shorts and the cape and everything, but just turn that into a ghost basically. The others were a little bit more difficult, so I would have some of them have undergone redesigns where I had to pull from other characters and just pass along like an element of this from this character and an element of this from this character to a concept artist who I think did a lot better work than I would have. Some of them were just me doing kind of character sketches that evolved from, one page to the next. Like the Raven, which is the character in the bomber jacket who looks a little bit like a Batman meets Midnighter. That was just me sitting down and sketching something out myself. The others were sort of probably more concept artist deserves a little bit more credit for if you see like the old sketches that I did versus what they put out.
I mean, I'm sure when Stan Lee was, writing with a crayon on a napkin, it, like as long as you can convey it, I mean, and Stan and Jack, as far as who created what, is not contentious, but. Or it is contentious, but anyway, just ignore that whole last sentence I said, because I'm having trouble sharing this damn page. So I literally don't know what's going on. Share window. Allow to share window. Okay, I'm going to allow that, but I can't. Oh, I know what I need to do. Remember when I said I was a programmer? For 25 years I was a programmer, and now I can't seem to figure this shit out. There we go. Man. Okay. It's been a while. Alrighty. So here is the Kickstarter. It went live a couple days now?
Friday, yeah.
Yeah. Got some backers. It looks great. So let's just go through the whole thing. So this is issue 2. I'm going to try to play the video.
It's a little bit loud. It is a little bit loud because it's. Did you ever see Mallrats by Kevin Smith?
Yes, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely a spin on the opening credits of Mallrats.
Yeah, I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, Mallrats. It's the first thing I always think of now. I don't even think of the song. And I even told my wife, side story. So I'm in college. Mallrats comes out, and it is the only movie that me and my wife. We rented it from the local rental video place. We watched it, we rewound it, and we watched it again. Like in a row, we watched it twice.
Right, I have to tell a story myself then, because my girlfriend had never seen the Jay and Silent Bob movies before she met me. I showed her Mallrats about a month ago. Every time she comes over, she's like, "Do you want to watch Mallrats?"
That's awesome.
We've done the. That's partly why I chose the song, just because I was like, it would be like a fun inside joke for us when I show it to you.
It's so funny because it wasn't even at the time. It was a bomb. It was considered like one of his worst movies. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is one of the best.
It is one of his best.
All right, I'm going to try to play it. I'll turn it down. So apparently there was no sound. Now I can't hear anybody.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, what is going on? I don't do this. Usually I point a camera at my hand while I'm inking, and it's like that is easy. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, I love the intro. You have a lot of people doing different covers, me included. I love this image. This is a great one.
Yeah. Nice Captain America homage.
Yeah. So let's go through. I don't know. Yeah, just walk me through it.
Yeah, so I'm working with Daniel Max, who's the main interior artist for Unbreakable Argonauts. What I've done is I've separated out into two different books. So there's Unbreakable Argonauts 2, which is if you just want the main story in a floppy, that's Unbreakable Argonauts number 2. And then we have Tales of the Argonauts, which is a anthology. And my preference would be to have every single campaign that I do moving forward work a little bit like this, where we've got the regular issue, and then we've got the anthology, which collects the issue with a series of backup stories, and just kind of build out the world and expand on the characters and add in some other characters without making the main story feel bloated or like I'm just throwing everything at you to see what sticks. One of the things that we're doing is I'm trying to downsize my comic book collection, so everyone who orders a physical comic gets a free comic included with it.
That is fantastic. I've never heard of anybody doing that. That's great.
I was like, the way I'm thinking of it is, I've backed comics and not necessarily loved the comic that I got, and the thinking I'm putting into it is that if you get a free comic with it and you don't love my comic, but you maybe do like that comic, at least it'll kind of feel worth it to you. But also, it is obviously just a nice sales incentive to add on as well. I'm working with Daniel Max, who's the main interior artist. And I'm working with Jordi Perez, who's doing the backup story, which is one of the backup stories, which is Lucky Duck Incorporated, which is the best way you could probably think of it is a little bit like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit with like a little bit of Howard the Duck. It was originally actually like the original concept of it was more I made up with this character called Duck Deckard, which was like a anthropomorphic duck version of Blade Runner, which would have been a little bit where he's like hunting down human beings in a world that's all anthropomorphic animals.
Love it.
And then rework that into Lucky Duck Incorporated, which is it's about him, and he teams up with this war veteran who's also a jaded detective who was kind of drummed off the force, and they're looking into a secret society in Icarus City, and it's set in 1947, so it's a good few years before the Argonauts are created. And then we're going to have some completely separate short stories in the back as well that are completely outside of the Unbreakable Argonauts universe. But yeah, so issue number 1, assuming that people didn't necessarily back issue number 1, it's all about I'm a big believer in just kind of throwing people into the world rather than necessarily wasting too much time building it up and telling everyone's origin story on issue 1. And so issue number 1 was you see the team as they are in sort of their prime, and there's a sneak attack and an ambush hatched by the villains, and ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. And then issue 2 is going to resolve it and explain what's going on, what the villains are up to, and give people a nice little rescue mission, which is I didn't actually realize it while I was writing it. So I wrote this, and then I went off and got the facsimile of Giant Size X-Men number 1, and realized that they're very, very similar stories.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this all the time. I no matter what story I come up with or character or name,
Yeah.
I know, or at least I imagine, there's like Peruvian Fabrizio right now who's already come up with the character. Like it's just something you have to accept.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is what it is. Like, even if we had the exact same plot for a story, we would treat it differently. So,
Yeah, and definitely because I'm a lot of the characters I'll create and then I'll realized I've like accidentally borrowed an element from someone else, or maybe this character is a lot more similar to this other character than I actually realized while I was writing out the history for them. And yeah, I mean, my rule is basically I know I'm not stealing from anyone, so I'm just gonna go full steam ahead with it.
Yep. I think that I have a friend who every time he would come up with a story, he's like, "Oh, they're doing it here," so he would just he would never be able to move forward. I'm like, as long as you know you didn't steal it, I say go with it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, and I do love the idea of not doing origins for everybody. Like I don't. It's just always my least favorite part of a story until like you get to know the character.
Yeah.
Like it's like okay, you're just waiting at that point. Like the first third of a movie with the intro to the character, it's like it's cool, but man, I wanna see how the character acts and then figure out why he acts that way. I don't need to be.
Yeah, there's only so many times
it.
you can watch the Martha and Tom Swain get murdered in the alley.
Yeah, I mean for Horace H. Hoover, I'm very like I haven't given anything virtually for that, and it's like I would say if it's too difficult for somebody to kind of jump into the story like that, then it's probably not the right story for you.
Yeah.
You know. So let's see here. So issue 2. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Where are we at here? The art looks great. I love this character design.
Yeah, it's so when I said earlier that I was worried that comics would be like prohibitively expensive, it's actually kind of funny because when I was on the subreddit, I was looking at, because obviously artists post their portfolios up there on a daily basis, and I actually came across Daniel had done a cyberpunk comic, and as I was scrolling by, I was like, this guy is so. I don't think I'd be able to afford this guy, but this is probably like the kind of person I'd love to work with. And I put up the call to people to send in portfolios. And Daniel sends in, he's like right within my budget, and I was just like, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I see a lot of hey Coco, Shuko, Papa Shango. Bootlegger, the magic was inside of me all along. That's true. It's there. I recently had a newfound appreciation for design. Renting VHS and rewinding, yeah. Yeah, in college we had a rental place, and you could get 4 movies for like $2 or something, like during college. So it's literally all we did, because we were in Edinburgh, so 6 feet of snow, like 8 months of the year. No sound. Yeah, sorry. I don't know. So far, bunny, so duck. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry about that. I'm way too old to decipher this kind of stuff. At work, we use Slack, and everybody just uses... No, those aren't emojis. Are those emojis? Is that what those are? Like the little pictures. Yeah. And I don't know. It's like, okay, whatever combination of emojis you're putting in there, if you expect me to somehow decipher that like a cave painting or something, it's just not going to happen. I'm just going to move on.
If it helps, I'm 28 and I'm pretty much the same way.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, maybe there is a bit of a pushback to the technology, which might be a good thing. Hey, Kibo, how's it going? Agree on the origin thing. I may have only done a few stories, but they all have it in common. Joined in media res. Yeah. And plus, if you say in media res, you sound really fancy. So I try to use it all the time. The call to adventure. Don't mind me. Just no filter there. Yeah, and I'm just joking about the emojis. I know. Sometimes it's hard for me to decipher because I'm really old. So like, I guess thumbs up is bad. Like that's aggressive and mean. Like there's all of these. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
I don't
I've
know.
heard people say it's passive aggressive as well.
Yeah, yeah. And you're not supposed to do the laugh out loud. You're supposed to do whatever. I'm like,
It's always changing.
I can't keep up with that. All right, yeah, let's go through more. We'll go through the pledges here, or the tiers in a bit. Actually, let me ask you how. The first issue you went through Fund My Comic and Kickstarter. What was like? Why did you?
So,
What crowdfunding did you pick and why?
so the first issue was a bit of a rocky start for me. The I actually first launched it in 2023, and the original plan was to have issues 1 and 2 together as like a giant size, you know, just a standalone graphic novel. But the way I'd written it was already broken up into 2 chapters. So if you'd have gotten the graphic novel, you'd have had a cliffhanger, and then it would have sit, and then you'd have flipped over, and it would have been like starting over chapter 2. Didn't make anywhere near what we needed to for the first one. It was on Indiegogo, and I just sent out an email saying to everyone, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it. I'm either going to self-finance it in my own time, or I'm going to come back and do another crowdfund. Would you guys, be willing to wait around for that and just see what happens, and hopefully I'll have it fulfilled by 2024. And I was pretty lucky in that most people were happy to stick around and see what would come from it. So I think about 6 months after I sent that email, I got up a second time. This time I chopped the 2 comics up, so this time I'm just crowdfunding for issue 1. And a much more reasonable goal this time.
Yeah.
So I actually meet it this time, get it done. That was on Indiegogo as well. And then I came back and I said, I'm going to have a storefront for a little while on Fund My Comic, and then I'm going to do one final little push on Kickstarter just to test out Kickstarter and see what I think of the platform. And I think Kickstarter was probably the most user-friendly one that I've done so far. And that helped me make up my mind that when I come back, I'd do it on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I do think that usability and just the sort of the built-in market for Kickstarter, I feel like it's pretty big for my Kickstarter, because you can look at the numbers and see where people came from. For the most part, it's a little vague in some areas, but I think that gives you a pretty big bump, because nobody's going to be searching for Horace H. Hoover on Kickstarter, but they might come across it randomly.
And I think people trust Kickstarter the most out of all the crowdfunding platforms as well, so I think that's a pretty big help.
Yeah, I do think there is still a little bit of an impediment of like, if you've never backed anything on a crowdfunding platform, that is still difficult. Like, if my family and friends have never backed anything ever, so they're like, I don't understand. Is it a cart? Is it this? So there is a little bit of hand holding you need to do, but I think Kickstarter is the best at that hand holding.
Yeah, I've had the same with relatives where I'll say, like, would you mind, if you want to, would you mind going on to Kickstarter and just seeing if you want to buy this comic and back it? And they'll be like, how about I just give you the money and you back it yourself?
Well, actually, that's more than I get. Usually I'll send a link and it'll be like, who is this? They'll just ignore me totally. No, I kid. I joke, I kid. So here's, this is the collected. So this is like a catch-up. I do love this color. I do love this cover. Yeah. And I do like the idea of being able to, like, a collected catch-up. That's kind of what I did for mine, and it was almost unintentional. I was coming out with issue 4, and then I had issues 1 through 3 that I collected and put on Amazon. I'm like, well, I might as well post that as well, because some people like floppies, but some people definitely like the collected. It's just more convenient for them. So I do like the catch up, because there are times where I'll get, I don't know, a couple of issues, 4 or 5 issues of a book. I'll misplace them. They'll get kind of, I'm not the best at organizing my comics. So I'm like, oh, I just need to read this thing to catch up to get to the story.
Yeah, it's the same for me. And also the way I say it is they're basically 2 different books. So if you want to if you want to jump in, you just want to collect the anthologies, you can do that as their own little collection. Or if you just want to collect the main floppies, you can do that as well.
Yeah, I love that. The Crime Syndicate of Doom. So, man, I can't believe you're only 28 and you're so like enmeshed. Like I would say that you've been reading, Golden Age, Silver Age comics your whole life. I love the naming. I love the character design.
This is so the Crime Syndicate of Doom it's the best way I would describe it is it's a little bit like Justice League Unlimited from the perspective of a team of villains instead of the heroes. And so in this, you're going to be mostly focusing on the villains, and the heroes are going to be like the background antagonists to them. But also they're kind of like bumbling supervillains, so it's every scheme is just completely ridiculous. And so this one's actually about they come across like a bunch of rich thrill seekers who have more money than sense, and they're like, "Oh, you want like the ultimate thrill seeker experience? Well, like great, we'll give you some mechanical robot suits, and you can go out and fight some superheroes and take the heat off us while we pull off a heist."
So this is the cover that I did, which was probably the most fun I've had. I haven't done a lot of commissions just because I've been so busy with my stuff. But man, it's so fun to play in another universe, another world, and I love Pulp characters and your design and concept for this character. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, and this is going to be obviously there's like a little bit of Zorro in there, but it's also going to be a little bit of Jonah Hex and like classic Western movies.
Yeah.
Finding a good Western comic can be tough these days, just because it's like the niche of niches.
Yeah.
And not a lot of publishers do them. Like you're very lucky if you're going to get a Jonah Hex comic or something like that. And if you go back to like the Bronze Age, some of the best comics that you're ever going to pick up from the Bronze Age are like the really weird Western standalone stories where it's like I was reading one the other day with like an 8-page backup about there's like a death, like there's a gunslinger and it's implied that the gunslinger's death or something like that, and just like those really weird standalone books. But this one's obviously going to be carried by the Night. Well, I'm a little bit torn between names. Luckily I haven't. I don't have any interior pages for this story yet, so I do have a little bit of time to sell on the name. I'm torn between Night Phantom and the
Frontier
Phantom.
Yeah, I like both. I mean, yeah. This is a great setting. I can't wait to see what you do with that.
And then this story is a little bit connected to this. The way I want to do it is, I would really like to alternate between two primary periods, which is post-war America, so like the late 40s through to the 50s, and then the Old West. And the story I have here is we have the Order of Salem, which is the concept of it is it's a secret society that goes back to the witch trials in Salem, and this is like a group of fundamentalists who are just completely devoted to purging the world of anything supernatural. And so in a world where like some of the superheroes are supernatural and some that there are plenty of good supernatural creatures, it's kind of taking things a little bit too far, and that's gonna set them on a collision course with the heroes.
Very cool. And then Lucky Duck Incorporated.
Yeah. This one, I've had so much fun writing this one.
I love it.
We've only got the 2 pages that I have right now are more sort of like a prologue, just to get to know the characters just a little bit. Then when we come back, it's going to be the full story.
Then the Raven and the Red Claw. Man, like, so at least the impression I get is you have like mountains of stories just to tell.
I mean, it's been a long time since 2022, and a long time to put down random short stories and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I always find that like if I'm working on a particular story or particular issue, you'll have like these intrusive thoughts of another story, and it's
Yeah.
like, nope, I cannot allow you to penetrate. So like I'll write notes or drawings, and
Yeah.
I'll put it away, because if not, it's just like this starting and starting and starting and never finishing. So yeah, what about the Raven and the Red Claw?
Yeah, so this is conceptually it's a little bit like, so the Red Claw is this jungle protector hero, a little bit like probably partway between like Black Panther and Tarzan, maybe a little bit of Phantom. So in this world, we have like a fictionalized version of Madagascar that's the only way into the. I'm going to go a little bit classic science fiction here. The only way into the Hollow Earth in this world is through this cabin in Madagascar. And so the Red Claw is this the island protector of the entrance, and this story is about etc. in World War II. Nazi plane goes down off the coast of Madagascar, and they're carrying something kind of mysterious in a crate. Raven's there to intercept them and to try and make sure that the crate doesn't make it to the front. Forces the plane down, plane crashes, the crate gets lost in the jungle, and it's him going up against the Nazis and all of them going up against the Red Claw, who just doesn't want any outsiders on the island.
Yeah, that sounds classic Pulp to me. I love it. We haven't really talked about Pulp, so we will though. And Crimson Eagle. Man, that's great.
I love this character. He's I'm just trying to think. I'll just reveal the Crimson Eagle's true identity is Chuck Yeager, which I thought would be a
That's
fun
cool.
thing to, yeah.
Man. All right, let's go through. Am I logged in? I am logged in. That's okay. Yes. Just so you know, I selected my own cover. Yes, I did that.
I appreciate it as well.
I want to see it in print.
Yeah.
Let me check the chat. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm ignoring the chat. Sorry, guys. Thumbs up is aggressive. That's just unfair, though. That's just unfair. You're changing the rules like in the middle of the game. So
I feel like it depends on context. Like if I've sent someone a couple of paragraphs and they'll get back as a thumbs up, that's passive aggressive. But if it's just like I'm working on it and then I just get a thumb, I don't think there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, like work stuff is like, oh, I posted this, thumbs up, like, you know. Yeah, but yeah, if you're if you're sending a text to your friend, we haven't talked in so long, I miss you, I wish we could get together, and you get a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's passive aggressive, sure. Wait, what's that? Writing is aggressive. Hand, that's a good one. Man, I don't even know what that means. I go where the creator is. Don't be surprised if you see Shuko checking out Horace Hoover.
Which is a great comic, by the way.
I don't know it. Is that manga? Manga? Fund My Comic. If you have an issue, you talk to a real live person, it gets resolved quickly. I have heard horror stories on other platforms. Yeah, Dr. Mask did The Sprinkled with Red? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the Sprinkled. It's the Edgar Allan Poe anthology. I did an illustration for that. It was a lot of fun. It was just an illustration and then a page of one of the short stories. So it was a really original concept. I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't used Fund My Comic though, so I can't say, but I have heard that Luke.
I think Fund My Comic is great as a storefront. I think more than crowdfunding.
I will be completely honest. I will probably do my own crowdfunding if it comes to that. We'll see. I think that we're about to see a lot of like competing crowdfunding because with AI, man, it's just so easy to set this up now that like probably in the next 6 months. So Kickstarter's probably going to have, or Fund My Comic or whoever is going to have to provide like real made data and metrics and like a comparative advantage type stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going somewhere. So the monkey with like the hands. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? Spewing monkey? Cappuccino? Writing. I think I'm being trolled. All right, yeah, let's look at the pledges. Is this the best place, or is there a better place to look at the pledges?
Yeah, I think the rewards tab at the top.
Yep. There we go. Alrighty, so first one? No, that's my selection. Okay. Digital, $5. That's really good.
Yeah, and that gets you 32 pages full color for issue 2.
Yeah, that's great. And I did see that that these will be sent the day.
So if you get the digital collection, issue number 1 will be sent the day that the campaign closes, and then that will give us. You'll have something to read while we work on issue 2.
Yeah, I love that. Jordy Perez cover. That's cool. I love this design. Yeah. It's almost like Art Deco-y, kind of. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Daniel Max cover. If I'm going too quick, I'm sorry. So this is issue 2. This is the physical comic.
Yeah.
Ships anywhere in the world. Wow. I think I limited it because I was just too terrified of like shipping. I had no concept of, so I'm like, you know what?
Because I still have family back in Europe, so if there's enough of a demand in Europe, then I can get family to help out shipping a few comics.
This is a really good cover too.
Yeah.
I love the coloring on this.
Yeah. That was actually, as I understand it, Daniel's wife is a colorist, and so they work together on the cover, which I think is pretty cool by itself.
Yeah, I really like this color. Like, it's got a tone. It's a little desaturated, but everything works really, really well. Rich Perota cover. That's fun.
Yeah. Rich did the Crimson Eagle backup as well.
Man. Yeah, you commissioned a lot of covers. So much artwork. So this is the digital collection, $15, 1 and 2. Ads, cover art. What are you doing for ads? Is that you can buy ad space, or?
Yeah, you can buy an ad page.
That's cool.
And that goes out in the digital and physical editions.
There's a part of me that still needs an ad, and I do fake ads, but it's like there's just something about seeing an ad in a comic book that makes it feel like real.
Yeah.
Lucia di Virgin?
Virgin.
That's Lucia. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Exclusive variant cover. Virgin cover will likely be printed with special cover embossed or something. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. $30, full page advertisement. Did you have ads in the first issue?
We had one custom billboard and ad page. Yeah, it was a company called Current Phonograph, which is a music shop in California.
Oh, that's fun. Variant multi-pack, so you get all four main variants. Wow. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 issues for €45, $53. That's great. I mean, a lot of issues are selling for like $15 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Retailer. Have you gotten your first issue in any retail locations that you know of?
Yeah, we had 2 retail backers on the first issue.
Man, that's freaking great. Were
Yeah.
did you know them, or these were just
No, they were both located in the States.
damn. That's
I
awesome.
will. I will say though, I did the. I I know this is like a little bit of a taboo among some people, but I put the time in and started actually directly emailing stores and just asking like, here's the situation. Would you be willing to back this retail tier? And I got probably like 100 non-responses and 2 yeses.
That's cool. I mean, doing a comic, there's 2 things that I think that make it worthwhile. One is having a physical thing in your hand that you can put on your shelf, and the other is to walk into a store and see it on the shelf. So I have yet to see Horace H. Hoover on a shelf anywhere. I think it was in a grocery store somewhere a while back when I was with my previous publisher, but I don't know how long that lasted. Retailer times 5, discounted grab pack for Tales of the Argonauts anthology. Yeah, I'm going to take that a little more seriously now that you mentioned that. I need to get Horace H. Hoover in some stores. Get drawn into the comic as a background character. That's fun.
Mm-hmm. And we actually had, I think we did 3 of those on the last comic, and I think all 3 of them got either 2 or all 3 of them got bought up.
Man, that is the one thing I will say about like sticking with a platform. You have access to all the people that backed the first issue. So I must have missed this. Produce a comic strip. We sometimes produce digital serialized comic strips. By backing this, you receive a digital copy as well as a strip dedicated to you by name. Strips will be collected in a book at a later date, and backing one guarantees you a copy of said book. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like I said before, I'm a big fan of Lee Falk's Phantom, and right now I'm actually trying to collect the Phantom dailies because they have like these books that collect the strips.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about doing something pretty similar where I'm still unsure about exactly how I'm going to do it. If I'm going to, because right now I'm actually thinking about well, I have to move out of the place I'm in at the moment at the end of the month, or at the end of June. Once I'm settled, I'll probably look into producing like either a fortnightly or a monthly comic strip starting like probably in September-ish.
Man, I love that idea. It's one of those things, I've consumed them, but it's hard enough for me to do a book in 24 pages. Like I couldn't wrap my head around doing a strip, but I love it. There's this convention that goes on near me. It's called Pulp Fest, and I've been going to it for I don't know how many years at this point. It's really small. It's obviously focused on specifically pulp stuff, pulp magazines, books, all that. It's expensive because it's
a niche, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very niche. It's expensive to get in and to buy stuff. But there is one art dealer there that has original comic strips, which I've never seen that before. I've looked at a bunch of artwork, comic book pages, but I've never seen actual strips. And I didn't get a chance to go through them all, but it would be really cool essentially just to hang those on your wall, the original size of whatever. I didn't see nothing like caught my eye. I didn't see the Phantom or anything that I recognized immediately, but it's such a cool art form. It's like this, I don't know, it's different than comics. It's its own thing. Even if you're using comic book characters or pulp characters, it's so limited that it's a cool skill. I'm sorry. I'm a saint, not a troll. I'm just kidding. Cost me $26 just to ship to Canada. I only charge $20. Wow.
Yeah, there's like a point where, I mean, back when I was in Ireland, you do have to kind of take a loss, especially when it comes around to it, and you realize that the shipping costs have gone up since the crowdfund ended. And yeah.
Yeah. What do we call the non-virgin cover? That's for the show later. It's doubled. That's weird. Pulp Fest just sounds epic. It is. I love it. It's in a hotel, which I love those kind of conventions. It's just it's more comfortable. Like if you need to use the bathroom, if you need to get something to eat, it's nice. I've been to so many conventions that are in these convention spaces which just either aren't nice, they're not well suited for what's happening. I'm going to be at Plastic City Comic Con, which is in Massachusetts. I've been to a few years. Keith Gleason has been doing it for I don't know how long, and it's in a hotel. And man, it's so much fun. It feels like an old school comic book convention, because that's where how I remember them many years ago, are in hotels. And then they grew so big that they're just these huge centers, and that can be fun too, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to have like a small, focused, comfortable convention. Speaking of which, have you done any, when you were in Ireland or for the first issue?
It was one of those things where I kept meaning to, and then by the time I got around to looking into it, the tickets would all be gone. Where I am right now, I'm in Massachusetts, so I'm thinking about trying out probably not this year, but next year, Boston Comic Con.
Oh, that's cool. Massachusetts. Yeah, that's great. You'll have to, I don't know where in Massachusetts, but you'll have to hit Plastic City one of these days. It's in Leominster. I'm probably saying it wrong. Leominster, something like that. I drive.
Town names.
What's that?
I'm still learning the town names myself.
Yeah, a lot of those. I go there on occasion. My brother lives in Massachusetts, but it's still a mystery. Although I do like Massachusetts. Boston's great. Yeah. There's a lot of cool places. Actually, all of New England. It's the only place that me and my wife, like whenever we go on vacation, we only go to New England. We just pick a New England state and go there. It's nothing against the South or the West or the Midwest, but it's like we're at PA and we just go up into the East, and that's the only direction that we go.
So pretty picturesque about the country.
And I love overcast days. People complain about it. I'm like, no, just give me like an overcast, slightly cold day where I can walk around, hit a bookshop or something. So we've been going for an hour. I don't know. I'm sure I missed things because I never do this. What are you into now? Like, what sort of, have you just completely avoided current comics? Are you getting into anything?
Like I said, I'm still trying to collect the older Phantom strips at the moment. Been reading Power of Shazam by Jerry Ordway recently because I've got the hardcover. I guess it's not an omnibus; it's like a deluxe edition. But yeah, I've been getting into that and really enjoying it. Tom Strong is a really big. I absolutely love Tom. Yeah,
love
Tom
it
Strong.
So much.
And I reread some of those issues from time to time because it's just so much fun.
It hurts me that Alan Moore, and I've probably read maybe not everything he's done, but I don't know, most of it, right? Mm-hmm. From the beginning, I've always been a huge fan of his. And it took him doing Tom Strong to be able to, like, why have you not been doing this for 30 years? Like, he was made for it. I swear. And the artist.
What's funny is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say what's funny is he came out at a con. He was like, this is actually what I enjoy writing. Like, I didn't necessarily enjoy Watchmen. I just wanted to send a statement with it. And it's like, so you could have been doing Tom Strong for like 20 years if you wanted to.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts. And Chris Spruce or Sprouse or however you say his name, one of my favorite artists. I collect original artwork from creators when I can. And I've been trying to track down an affordable page of his for years now. And I can't, at least one that's worthwhile. But so what is it about pulps or Golden Age or sort of the old stuff that you think that you like?
I think I might sound a little bit stupid saying this, but I think there's just a really charming simplicity to them, where it's the story that you want to tell kind of stripped down to its bare elements. So we're not overwhelming you with like exposition and necessarily world building. We're just telling you the story Tom Strong's definitely a great comic for world building, but I don't know. It's just such a. It's very hard to like nail down exactly what it is, whether it's like an aesthetic or a niche or a genre, how you describe it. But it's just so to the point and doesn't waste your time and just get straight into giving you exactly what you want. And I think the pulps are a lot more adventure focused, whereas I think superhero comics don't really change up the setting that much, and it can get pretty tedious for me. And there is something nice about getting into the jungle or getting into, like some faraway island or something like that. And yeah, I just absolutely love them.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about this too for years now. And I do think, like what you said about the adventure aspect of it, and I do think that's a big part of it. Like,
Yeah.
I love Daredevil, but I don't know how many times he needs to get into a street fight with, Bullseye or not Bullseye, anyone, Bushwhacker or one of those, characters. But meanwhile, the Phantom or the Shadow can kind of just be in their environment over and over again, and for some reason, I just don't get tired of it. I do think it is the simplicity. I also think it is the very not strict moral code, but it's there's not, like, the Phantom isn't morally gray.
Yeah.
He's a moral character, and I think we're drawn to that after being sort of inundated with all of these gray characters. And it's like, even when you're writing, if you Google right now 10 tips on how to write a great character, give them a vice. Like, well, but why? Well, like, do I have to do that? Do I have to make my character an alcoholic? I'm like, to me, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I feel like those pulps are they're just so much more fun.
Yeah, they're a lot more. I'd say they're a lot more comfortable in themselves. If that makes sense. They have a better sense of what they are and what the readers want and what the writers want to do. And yeah, it's and you'll notice that, like, a lot of the time when, like, major, Marvel DC writers get to them, their style, it's almost like they're taking like a vacation from superheroes, and their style just becomes a lot more, like, for lack of a better word, like innocent, and I don't know if I'd necessarily say wholesome, but a lot more like, oh, this is what I've been wanting to write for all these years, and I got to go back to Marvel and DC after I'm done with this.
Yeah, it's just layers. Whenever I think of Marvel and DC, it's a lot of characters with just, and this word has been distorted, but whatever, trauma, or, all of these things layered in there. Meanwhile, the Shadow's a pretty simple character, I think.
Yeah.
But also character design. As far as I'm concerned, the Phantom's one of my favorite character designs.
Yep.
And
Mine too.
it probably shouldn't be. I'm like, why do I love it so much? It's purple. He's got the stripe, but I do. I love it. And even the Doc Savage books, I think they're very simple. And I'm actually a sort of a snob about writing too. Like, I really love, like, flowery prose. Like, I love really elegant stuff, but I also like Mickey Spillane. I love, like, the really simplistic stuff. And it's hard, obviously, once you get into the old pulps, not to see the influence on literally everything, whether it's George Lucas or comics or random things you see on TV. I'm like, oh, that's pulling from the Shadow or this or that.
Doc Savage and the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh, so how did you get into? And I don't mean to, like, talk about pulps too much, but it's hard not to, and I rarely talk about, like, pulp characters. Did you listen to the old Shadow, like, radio show? Like, what was your sort of entrance? Was it the old magazines, or?
So I actually have listened to the old Shadow radio show. The other night I was actually listening to The Black Master, which is one of the novellas from the Shadow. I got about an hour into it and fell asleep. But for me, it was like the 90s movies, because, like, around the early 90s, Hollywood just out of nowhere was like, we're going to do all the pulps. And you got, like, the Shadow, the Phantom, and the Rocketeer, and it was just it's just such a refreshing contrast to the superhero movies, because, like we said, they're just so much more direct and simple, and they don't it's just you never feel like it's playing someone else's tune. They're very sincere in their approach to the characters in the genre. Um, with Tom Strong, it was actually kind of funny because my entry point to Tom Strong was the DC Comics, the Terrifics, because in I think it's like issue 18, Tom Strong shows up and they have or I think it was actually earlier than that. Tom Strong shows up and there's a nice adventure with him, and I remember reading that and being like, who's this character, and just wanting more from that, and thinking like, and then I found out that Tom Strong was a whole series, and I saw it was Alan Moore, and I was like a little bit cautious because I was thinking I do like Alan Moore, but at the same time, if it's like the Watchmen treatment of pulps,
Yeah.
you're not necessarily going to love that. But I went back and discovered it and found out how much I absolutely love that series. And I think Tom Strong more than anything else was the impetus for me to go back and discover all the older pulps in comic book form as opposed to the movies, and just finding out how much I absolutely love them.
Yeah, it is funny that that Alan Moore, you expect Tom Strong at a certain point. You're like, oh, this is great. This is it pulps, and then there's like a really graphic, horrific. But there isn't. He doesn't pull the Alan Moore,
Yeah.
which is really incredible. Alrighty. Well, let me follow up with chat here a little bit. Simplicity is elegant. There's something about that in whether it's art, music, whatever medium. Hey, World at War Comics, Tommy, how's it going? I'm listening to the radio right now. Yeah, those old radio shows are great. I wish they would remaster them. That's my only complaint.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it'll like pierce my ears. I have to turn it up. If you just run it through some filters, and it won't degrade the quality. All right, cool. Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to chat about that we haven't covered?
I think we've covered everything. It was a really good talk, actually.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I don't do this. I apologize for my technical difficulties, but it's the internet.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and honestly, thanks for reaching out for the commission. This is still one of my favorite, like I said, one of my favorite images I've done in a long time. It was so fun to play in that world. And everybody, if you haven't checked out Unbreakable Argonauts 2, it's on Kickstarter. I did put the link in the YouTube description. Hopefully this will go through as well. Check it out. It's currently funded on Kickstarter. And I will talk to everybody later. Hope everybody has a good rest of their Memorial Day. And I'll be streaming again sometime in the future. All right. See you, everybody.
See ya.